Now look, the word fumble might seem harsh when speaking of a fan-turned-booker with his hands full, said person being AEW president Tony Khan. But actions have consequences, folks, even when you're using your billions to ostensibly make wrestling a better place. And when it comes to the following all-elite talents or concepts, there's simply no denying that TK has dropped the ball somewhat, hasn't he? So I'm Gareth, this is What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 AEW wrestlers Tony Khan totally fumbled. Number 10, Antony Aogo. It is hard to know the exact extent of the value being wasted by not featuring Antony Aogo as a regular on AEW television and in meaningful storylines, because he spent so little time in the spots. He's wrestled 53 matches total since signing his AEW deal, which is not a huge number and gets even smaller when 24 and counting haven't taken place in All Elite Wrestling rings. Getting reps is crucial for anybody's development, but so little of said development has helped him make meaningful strides forward as a wrestler. Now, it would be nice to say it wasn't as simple as him being cursed by the mistakes made in his first major angle, but it definitely still feels that way several years on from a weird build with and damaging loss to Cody Rhodes in what was only his third AEW bout at Double or Nothing 2021. And that feels like a lifetime ago. He had been revealed as a killer with a kill shot when QT Marshall's factory broke away from the Nightmare family, but a strange patriotism-themed build and oddly agented match left Agogo's blade fairly blunt. Since then, it's been more cameos and another run in another stable, but it feels as though the Olympic bronze medalist time in Shane Taylor Productions will end the same way as in the factory, with almost no fanfare. Number 9, the Four Pillars as a concept. The build to the Four Pillars match at Double or Nothing 2023 was a frustratingly missed opportunity, failing to deliver the compelling story such a unique and ultimately excellent match deserved. With Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, and MJF all representing AEW's homegrown future, and labeled as such from the beginning of the company, this should have been a showcase of the organization's young talent in a narrative-driven high-stakes contest for their richest prize. Instead, AEW muddled the build with convoluted promos, unnecessary comedy, and repetitive segments that undermine the seriousness of the feud. As the clear biggest star of the group and defending champion, MJF carried the bulk of the promos, while the others struggled to find consistent character depth or motivation. The storyline lacked tension and personal stakes, feeling more like a thrown-together showcase than a defining moment for AEW's future stars. By the time the match arrived, the excitement around the Four Pillars concept had largely fizzled too, leaving a once-in-a-generation story feeling half-baked and a bit underwhelming. Number 8, Wardlow. Wardlow's booking in AEW has been one misfire after another for the man formerly known as Mr. Mayhem, potentially squandering for good the immense promise he showed during AEW's critical and commercial peak. When he first appeared, Wardlow was positioned as a dominant force, a monster with shades of Bill Goldberg and others like him, poised to be a cornerstone of the company as he loomed dauntingly in the background. I thought he was going to be main eventing in no time. However, one too many missteps in the 5 years since have left him floundering. After his highly anticipated turn at the climax of MJF's program with CM Punk in 2022, he seemed destined for babyface superstardom. But after squashing the salt of the earth at Double or Nothing that year, he drifted inconsequentially for a little too long. When he was strapped up as TNT champion, the reigns did more harm than good due to poor storytelling and, in Tony Khan's defense, extremely inconsistent match quality. The lack of a compelling narrative direction post-MJF was palpable though, so much so that when he joined the Undisputed Kingdom in an attempt to once again destroy his former boss, it felt like the first time he had direction since he'd last left his side. But it was another false dawn, wasn't it? With Wardlow's 2024 mostly lost to Adam Cole's injury and the stable's wider failure to connect. Now I've got a quick question for you. Which AEW star who hasn't already won the world title do you think still has the potential to be AEW World Champion one day? You let me know in the comments down below. I still think Wardlow's got it in him. Number 7. Big Bill. Your mileage may vary on exactly how much Big Bill has suffered creatively in AEW, considering how much of a surprise success story his post-WWE and Impact Wrestling reinvention has been, but it is continually frustrating that a man known for his height continues to smash his head against a glass ceiling rather than just burst right through it. Earning plaudits for being a total popper in 2023, he joined forces with Ricky Starks to upset FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championships for a reign that delighted audiences desperate for something fresh, and the duo served their purpose to completion by dropping the gold to Sting and Darby Allin ahead of the former's retirement. But with Stark's status uncertain, more on that later, Bill was slotted into Chris Jericho's learning tree stable as the former world champion's newest Jake Hager. Yay. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it, folks. And the hilarious 7-footer might yet find his momentum cut short once again. Number 6. The singles careers of the Lucha Brothers. Former tag team champions and one half of what many consider to be the best match in AEW history, the Lucha Brothers had a run to be proud of under Tony Khan. But Rey Fénix and Penta El Zero Miedo? Well, not so much. While their doubles work has been exceptional when paired against the Young Bucks in particular, Penta and Fénix singles trajectories have been less than stellar at best and infuriating at worst, lacking direction and purpose. The pushes, and that is generous, haven't positioned either man in meaningful, long-term storylines. Penta in particular had glimpses of a breakout run when he faced Cody Rhodes during the American Nightmare's star-making peak, but it quickly fizzled out, leaving him directionless and with an arm-breaking finisher that had lost all of its magic. Arguably the best high flyer on the planet at one point, Fénix was reduced to thrilling matches with no follow-up too. The overcrowded roster ultimately left the Lucha Brothers adrift in both divisions, and Penta now looks destined to show up in WWE, and may have already by the time this drops, while the Fénix situation looks to be getting uglier by the day. What could have been, eh? If you're having a good time with this What Culture Wrestling video today, my friend, then hit that subscribe button down below and you will get more of these videos in your life. Just do it, do not fumble this chance. Number 5. Powerhouse Hobs. Thanks to his relative youth, he's 33, so he's only just approaching 2024 wrestler prime, and even younger TV age, there's still plenty of time to get Powerhouse Hobs right. But it's so far so not that good for the promising monster, sadly. Hobbs has been just another victim of the company's confusing, erratic booking from the moment Team Taz disbanded. A brutal enforcer following his heel turn on Cody Rhodes to join the group, showcasing raw power and charisma. However, AEW's failure to follow through on his initial push has left Hobbs floundering in mid-card purgatory. Despite moments where it seemed like he was on the verge of breaking out, he's been repeatedly undercut by a lack of consistent direction, and a bizarre need to have him in stables rather than as his own man. His association with QTV was a horribly misguided nod to a strain of continuity audiences were not interested in, and joining the Don Callis family was infuriating optics-wise, based on how marginalized he'd been by his last placement in a stable. A 2024 injury break was a blow and a blessing in equal measure, with the star breaking free from the Callis family upon his return, and hopefully now being his own badass man going forward. We can dream. Number 4. Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks' exit from AEW has felt inevitable for longer than any of his sustained pushes, which actually feels important to note in a list with a title salaciously crafted around blame that lies mostly with Tony Khan. From the outside looking in, and even if this is completely not the case, the road has looked rocky for some time, and more's the pity for All Elite Wrestling. From the moment he debuted, Starks oozed charisma, skill, and that elusive and increasingly hard to harness pro wrestling it that just made him stand out. His work with Team Taz showcased his immense potential, but once that faction dissolved, AEW failed to capitalize on his momentum. Despite occasional flashes of brilliance as a babyface in a TV feud with MJF, Starks has been hindered by stop-start pushes and the all-too-familiar lack of sustained direction. Often thrust into programs that either lack substance or fail to highlight his real strengths, he was left adrift twice in 2023 and early 2024. Once when his burgeoning feud with CM Punk was axed thanks to the latter's sudden firing, and the other when his title-winning team with Big Bill reached its natural conclusion. It's been AEW limbo ever since. with Starks himself recently revealing he's been home and healthy and he's not sure why he's been left off TV and interviews. He's since been taking the odd indie booking, sure, though was pulled from some GCW shows recently for reasons you can find on the internet. But will we ever see him on AEW television again? Who knows? Number 3, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes' booking in AEW was a perplexing mix of era-defining brilliance and baffling nonsense, ultimately leading to his departure for WWE. It's unknown exactly how much control Tony Khan had/shared when it came to the American Nightmare's trajectory, but the project coming to an end just 3 years into the company's existence spoke to how much he was perfectly happy to relinquish. As a founding figure and one of AEW's most recognizable faces, Cody was positioned as a top star from night one. He had a series of self-imposed limitations, such as his vow never to challenge for the AEW World title, and then subsequently hang around a little too long in the TNT ranks, gradually boxed him into a corner. It was not the smartest move. Instead of evolving into a megastar, Cody became embroiled in mid-card feuds that did little to enhance his character or the brand. His storylines often felt disconnected from the rest of AEW's narrative too, and his insistence on playing a traditional babyface began to clash with the more nuanced characters around him. This combination of creative stagnation and fan backlash eroded his standing to a remarkable extent by early 2022, making WWE's offer of a fresh start and a clear direction impossible to resist. Number 2, CM Punk. CM Punk was responsible for the actions of CM Punk, and by 2023, those actions were sackable offenses that left Tony Khan with few options beyond the ones he eventually took. The fumble was not in letting CM Punk go and indeed go back to WWE, but in allowing a situation with his biggest star to reach the point where everything became so untenable. Khan's fumble was not being a more diligent man-manager from the off. Who knows exactly when relations changed between Punk and the Elite from the heady days of 2021 when he was taking studio shots with the Young Bucks and having Twitter crack with Hangman Page. Not many folk, but Tony Khan should have been one of them, and he should have done something about it. Who knows how different the autumn of 2022 could have been had incidents never made it to television, or certain fires extinguished before they could burn relations to the ground. To understand the value of Punk to your business is not to accept the rough with the smooth, but to manage a monster so that everybody gets to win. Now, it's not an easy tightrope to walk, admittedly, but Tony Khan slipped off too late to clamber back on. Number 1, the troubling majority of those that have competed in the women's division. The women's division's growth has been one of the most prominent success stories in All Elite Wrestling in 2024, but the promotion has been kicking around since 2019, and even the most backward-facing archaic version of WWE was able to get its act together parity-wise midway through the 2010s. Even now, AEW's the best it's ever been for women, and still not really good enough, is it? Tony Khan from the outside appears to have struggled to give the women's roster the same attention and care as their male counterparts. Sure, the division's biggest stars over the years, such as Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, ace figure Tony Storm, and major acquisition Mercedes Moné have managed to find space to shine, but often in isolation, with little continuity or depth in the broader storytelling. Matches are frequently relegated to the same time slot, or just treated as afterthoughts, and there's been a frustrating lack of meaningful feuds beyond the title pictures. The inconsistent TV time and underdeveloped characters have stunted the division's growth and left a trail of half-baked and incomplete characters exchanging wins and losses in listless, never-ending jockeying for position, making it feel secondary instead of integral to AEW's identity. Even when opportunities arise, such as the introduction of the TBS Championship via indestructible force Jade Cargill, they've often fallen flat due to erratic booking. The times are definitely a-changing, folks, but overdue is an understatement, isn't it? What bloody took you so long, TK? If you enjoyed this video, well, check out the Triple H version that we've done as well. It's a great time, I promise. And would I lie?